What we're now going to look at is some clients and adding charges to those clients. So we're going to look at both provider-based charges and our charges for invoices or reoccurring invoices. So let's look at our contacts in here. And I'm going to choose our client, which is Rob Lowe. So we have Rob in the system. And we can see against Rob, the first most important thing is who is their advisor. In here, you can see that that is against myself. We'll look at plans shortly, but first of all, I'm going to go to our work area, and you will see that you have got charges and charge splits. We're going to look at the charge splits first of all. At the moment, there are no splits applied to Rob at all. So let's see how any charge looks if it was put on the system. So if we've got £1,000 and then we say we want a initial and press the sample, what this is going to do is it's going to look at our firm, which is Friends of Plannr, and they're getting that £1,000. Me as the selling advisor is not getting any physical money, but you can see I am being recognized for that. If we then go to ongoing and do the sample, it is going to show the same. If you do have splits that you want to apply, you can press add new and go in and put a charge split. And we can say in here it's an introducer. And we're going to put that against Disney accountants. And we're going to confirm that it's initial only. And we've got all the percentages. It's not applying to the rest of their plans. So we're just doing it at the top level. Or you can say apply this split to all the clients' plans. And I'm going to create that. If I now go back to calculate my examples, what you will see in here, if I go back to my initial and just calculate, you can see that now Friends of Plannr are going to receive 900. The introducer receives 100, and I get my recognition for the full 1,000. If I then go to ongoing charges and calculate, there are only the 2 lines because Disney accountants don't get anything of the ongoing. If you want to amend or delete this, you've got the actions button here. So I'm actually going to delete this one for now and not apply any introducer splits to Rob. Let's look at charges. At the moment, this client has no charge schedules, and these are where you can set up a schedule to say it's an ongoing and it's going to continue from this point, or different types of revenue as a schedule, and it will spawn the next expectation that it is looking for. You won't be able to create expectations in here. It will do those automatically. So what am I going to do? I'm going to add a new charge in here. And we're going to do this as a one-off invoice. And I'm going to say that this is for today. I'm going to put the expected amount in here. We're going to charge him £10,000 as a one-off amount. It automatically will bring in me as the advisor down here. So that's what that was looking at. And it has default to say I'm tax exempt. And no, this is not reoccurring. I'll show you how to add a reoccurring one shortly. We then say exclude from RMER. No, that is the default on the site. Because I'm independent, it is showing as independent. And we then have our service type. So the service type is the relationship that you've got with your client. The system doesn't know, have you got an ongoing relationship? So in here, is it an initial or is it a one-off? If you're not doing any other business with the client, it's one-off. We might have a one-off charge here, but we have got initial business. We're going to do other business with this client. We then need to set our advice area. So we've got our £10,000 and 100% is remaining. And we need to choose either a percentage or amounts in the various advice area in here. I am going to put that actually we've got 100% in here, and it's automatically said now there's nothing left to calculate. You could, of course, put a 50-50. It's on different advice, or as I said, use your amounts of money. If I do save, that has now added my one-off fee. And as I said, you're going to have your expectations that he has created automatically in here. And straight away, it is saying that the reconciliation has started and it's fully reconciled to a statement transaction. We'll go into that in more detail later, but because a fee against a client doesn't have a physical statement, it automatically creates it and matches it and marks it green. The last one there is, has it been reconciled to any bank? It hasn't, so we've got it as grey. If you wanted to change any of your schedules, you can go and edit and update the details. And obviously you can delete that off, which will delete any expectations. We're now going to add an ongoing for Rob in here. So I'm going to put another charge on, and I'm going to say that Rob has a ongoing fee. And again, we're going to start that off today. And we're going to pay in here £750. Tax exempt. Whoops, sorry. In here. And we are going to say that, yes, this is ongoing. We select our frequency. We can put an end date in here. So if he's only going to pay that $750 for this year, you could put an end date in there and start a new one if your prices are increasing. Again, you've got all of the details about the RMER. Because I have selected that this is an ongoing charge, the system recognized that we've got an ongoing relationship with Rob, so it's put our ongoing in. And again, we're going to set up our advice area in here. And I'm going to say again, this is for our retail advice. It's automatically filled that out and saved that record. So we can now see that we have got both of our invoices and charges, and it's got all the detail in here. And on our expectations, it has created the 10,000 that we saw before. It has also created the 750. And because it's an ongoing, it has created the March one in readiness for matching, but it has not updated any of the status because it is not due yet. So those are the charges against a client on there. We're then going to go into put that on a, excuse me, on a client provider fee. So what we're going to do now is look at our plans and our charges against plans. Where you need to go on here is you need to go to your plans area. So we've got Rob, and currently Rob has no plans at all. So what we're going to do is add a brand new plan. So let's go into this here. And we're going to say that Rob has an investment, and actually we're going to put on a GIA. And we're going to say that it's not joint, and we have got a provider. I'm going to, for this example, choose Prudential. And I'm going to put a policy number on here. So I'm going to just do Prudential, low, and 001. We then have, is it a wrap? So I'm going to say, no, this is not a wrap, and it's not held in a wrap. And we select next. It will automatically create a label with the provider and the policy type. You can, of course, change that to what you need it to be. For this scenario, I'm going to put on the plan as an active plan, and this started on the 1st in here of February. I'm going to choose myself as the advisor. So I am the active advisor and the selling advisor. For contract inquiry, if you're Certificates and everything were held against a different advisor. You can select that. You've also got all of the options to put your agency details on there, whether this is visible on the client portal, and whether you want to include this valuation. I'm not going to put any further details on, but if I go next, I do want to put a valuation on. So I'm going to put a valuation in here, and I'm going to say the value of this plan that you put in is 100,000, and I'm going to put that in as the first. I then finish, and that added the basic details for that plan. Of course, there's a lot of further information that you can enter on the plan. So if we have a look, you can see there's further details about terms, offshore, and other items. We've also got our sub-accounts and transactions. All of these sort of things are shown on our quick tips and our other videos. We also have our premium information where we can add the lump sum in there and other items such as new business events, documentation, notes and tasks. But for today, we're just looking at our charges. So let's look at our charges. Exactly the same as at the client level, we have got our charge schedule. So I'm going to add a new charge, and that is a fee. And we're going to do this as an initial fee paid by the provider. Of course, if it is paid by the client, you can do that against the policy as well. So let's put our expected date in here of the first. I'm going to choose an amount of money, and I'm going to choose £2,050. We've got all the details like we had when we were adding the individual invoice or retainer. So you can see, is the reoccurring? I'm the advisor. Exclude from RMAR independent. Initial. The one thing that you'll see that is different against the plan versus the client themselves is we have defaulted the advice areas based on the plan type that is selected. In 99% of cases, that will be correct. But for example, where you've got a whole of life or an endowment that could be non-investment insurance, or it could be retail investment, you do have the option to change what we've defaulted it to and change that area. This is also really useful if you do international clients where you can choose that it is neither non-regulated or non-RMAR. So if I press no, I'm going to leave it as it is and save that record. We now have our schedule on, which is just one item, and we have our expectation. You'll see that these are all grey, meaning that we haven't started any of the reconciliation yet. Let's now go and put on our ongoing. So again, we're choosing our fee. We're going to choose that this is an ongoing fee paid by the provider. I'm going to again choose yesterday. This time we're going to use a percentage. So this will look at the value of your plan, which is why it's quite key that you do add that valuation in. Otherwise, 1% of nothing is nothing. Doesn't mean you can't match it, but you will have to do some extra pieces in the reconciliation to balance things off. I'm going to choose percentage, and just for ease for today, I'm going to do 1% per month. This is the annualized percentage divided by how it's reoccurring. So if it's 1% per annum, that's 0.083. But just to look at this, as I said, I'm going to just put in figures of 1%. It is reoccurring, and we're going to do that monthly in here. Again, you've got the end date, and all of the other details are in there. So if I save that, you can see now I have got my ongoing fee, and it has created that as £1,000. Now, what will happen is if the value changes, it will change your expectation right up to the date of the valuation and the next expectation. So if I go add and I put in a new valuation, and let's put in the second today, and rather than 100,000, we're just going to say, whoops, it's gone up slightly in here. what I'll do if I just refresh and go to my expectations, you will see that it has stayed as £1,000 for the one that is in the past, and the one in the future, it has changed that to £1,001. So those are adding your charges onto the system. If you've got an ongoing that's, say, in the past, you can put an end date, as we said before, and it will show you when the next expectation is.